This is Steve Hewlett from balancedfitlifestyles.com, and today I just want to talk to you a little bit about losing weight and healthy ways of eating. It's not just about losing weight, it's healthy ways of eating. And remember, it's not about a calorie in versus a calorie out. That is old news and that is incorrect. It's all about the type of calories that you put in and when you put those in your body. So it's what you eat and when you eat. So if you want to hear a little bit more, stay tuned and I'll give you a little picture of about what I'm talking about. So hope you stay tuned. This is Steve Hewlett from balancedfitlifestyles.com, and I just wanted to tell you something that I'd learned in my last 2 years when I've really been listening, watching, and reading everything I can on obesity, on adult obesity, childhood obesity, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome. These are all the same thing. And we have plenty of videos that all talk about this. We'll break this down. And I actually have an entire hour talk that I gave to the pediatric seminar where I work. And that's going to talk all about this. But today, this is just going to be one little segment. And this is something that I heard. And this has to do with not necessarily of what you eat, but when you eat it. And this was a perfect example of something that I'd heard. And it has to do with a campfire. And what this is how many of you really enjoy a good campfire? You go camping and you sit around a campfire. Isn't it great? You just sit back, and the way you get a fire going, and you take some kindling and you throw the kindling on the fire, and then you take some kindling and throw it on the fire, and then you take some kindling and throw it on the fire, and it burns down, take some more kindling and throw it on the fire. No, nobody does a campfire like that. That's not how you make a campfire. The way you make a campfire is you take this kindling and you put it in the fire and you get a good fire going, and then you take these big old logs and you throw these big old logs on the fire, and then you just sit back and just enjoy this nice warm fire. And then as those big logs burn down, then you take some more big logs and you throw those on the fire, and you sit back and you enjoy the conversation and just let those logs burn down. Now this is exactly the way that you're supposed to use the energy that we have in our food, okay? We are not supposed to be throwing kindling on our fire all the time. And in this scenario, what this is the kindling are the carbohydrates that we eat, all the processed food that we eat, all the sugar, all the high fructose corn syrup, all this horrible stuff that's horrible for our bodies. And when we throw it on our bodies all the time, all we're doing is we're burning kindling. That's all we're doing. And we never give our bodies a chance to get to the fat cells, the fat that's in our storage cells. And that's the big logs. The big logs are all the fat that our bodies store in our subcutaneous tissue. And this is perfectly good. This is normal. This is the way our bodies are made to do it. When we eat food, then our body takes that and it breaks down the protein into amino acids so we can use that for building blocks of our different cells and our hormones and different things in our bodies. It takes the good, healthy animal fat that we eat, and it takes that and that uses to make all the cell membranes in our bodies, helps to make some hormones in our bodies, and it gets stored as fat in our subcutaneous tissue. And this is what we need for those times of fasting. And when I say fasting, I just mean those times that we're not eating. So we'll eat, and then we'll fast, and then we eat, and then we fast. And some people, they fast for 2 to 3 hours, and some people fast for 2 to 3 days. Whatever you want to do, what you want to do is you want to be able to use the fat in their fat cells. And this is why I want to talk to you about time-restricted eating. Some people call it intermittent fasting, however you want to do it, but it means we are not supposed to be eating all the time. When we eat every 2 to 3 hours, we're just sitting there and we just keep throwing kindling on our fire. And what happens is our body is using all that kindling that we put on our bodies, and we never get a chance to get to our big logs. We never get a chance to get to that subcutaneous fat tissue that we're supposed to use. And what we actually do, especially when we're eating processed food, we're actually putting more and more fat in our subcutaneous fat cells. And so when you constantly fill your fat cells and you never give your body a chance to burn all that fat off, that's how our obesity rates are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is why our obesity rates started skyrocketing, and our type 2 diabetes started skyrocketing, and our metabolic syndrome started skyrocketing just as soon as we went to the no-fat, low-fat diets. because we found that this is the worst thing that we could be putting in our bodies is no fat and low fat food because of types of sugar and high fructose corn syrup and these processed fats, these trans fats that we're putting in our bodies. So the way we're supposed to eat is just like this. Eat in a short window. Skip a meal. Just skip either your breakfast or skip dinner. It doesn't matter, but skip one meal a day. Only eat in a narrow range, like a 6 to 8 hour period every single day. And in that 6 to 8 hour period, you can eat what you want. Hopefully you still stay away from the processed food and the things that are bad for you, but you can eat what you want. And then that leaves the next 16 to 18 hours of that day. So think of it as a campfire. We don't want to be throwing kindling on in our fire all the time. We want to have the time to sit back and enjoy those big old logs. Now think of it also, if you do have a roaring fire and you have these big old logs that are sitting on there, if you want to have kindling every now and then, you want to throw that kindling on the fire, that's perfectly fine. Your body will eat up burn up that kindling, and then all of a sudden it'll go back to using the fat in your cells again, burning those big old logs. The problem is when we just keep throwing kindling on kindling on kindling, and we never get a chance to use those big logs. So time restricted eating, skip one meal a day, use the rest of the time to just narrow those other two meals as close together maybe over a 6 to 8 hour period, maybe less. If you could do all your eating in 4 times, maybe you can work up to where you only eat one meal a day. And what you'll find out when you eat one meal a day, or when you have this time restricted eating, you don't get as hungry as you think you would. You actually don't get hungry at all, because when you eat this way, you have the storage of fat cells on your body all the time. So your body isn't craving these carbohydrates that we're putting in it. That's why you get hungry, because we're eating these carbohydrates that make our sugar go up, make our insulin go up, and then all of a sudden our sugars go down and we get starving to death. But if you're just sitting there and you're eating off your fat cells, you never do get hungry. Trust me, I do it, my wife does it, and you can go for 1, 2, 3 days and you never get hungry. Learn how to become a fat burner, quit being a carb burner. Learn how to burn your big logs, quit burning kindling for your life source. You'll do yourself a huge favor. You'll be able to lose weight, you'll have a lot more energy, you won't ever be tired, and you won't be hungry. A ton of information out there that can help you learn how to do this. Time restricted eating or intermittent fasting. These are just 2 different phrases that say the same thing. Please try it. I guarantee this is going to help you lose your weight and have more energy. So, hope you enjoyed this. Think about whether you're going to be living off kindling or whether you want to live off your big logs. And a campfire is much, much more enjoyable when you have some big logs to burn. So, see you on the next video. Bye-bye.